Hey crafty babes, Andrea here, and I'm going to show you how to use a big giant photo in your Pocket Pages. So I have a paper trimmer, a big photo that I've already pre-planned the size that I wanted to use, and I'm just double checking that it's the right size. I know that it needs to be 8 inches tall and 12 inches wide, so that's what I've planned for. I have a 4x4 square page protector, but I was originally going to use a design F, which would have had 8 3x4s, but I realized when I got the photo back that the seams were going to cut right into my subject. So I found that if I used the 4x4, that the subject would fit at least into the far bottom pocket. So I decided on that layout instead, and what I am doing is I'm just placing it over the photo so that I can kind of see where the seams are going to be. And to get everything as much as I can into that far bottom pocket, I'm going to start with nudging everything up against the bottom right corner. So at this point you could just take your paper trimmer and measure 4 inches. But the problem with that is that sometimes the pockets aren't exactly the size you think they are. They could be a hair or two bigger or smaller. So what I tend to do is just eyeball the pocket alongside of the photo and then use the sharp edge of a pencil to just make a mark where I want to make the cut. Then I know for sure it's going to fit inside that seam, because you can go from one pocket to the next pocket and they're going to be slightly different sizes. That's just kind of the way that they roll. So here I'm just trimming the first section, which is the 2 up and down on the right. So I'm going to cut across. Well, I'm going to am I cutting across or am I cutting down? I'm making a cut down line first on all of them, and then I will cut them across in half the other way. So what I'm doing is that I'm going to the next pocket and I'm making another notch there as well, and then that's going to account for the seam that's in between. And when we get to the final edge, the third piece on the left, it's going to be the right size, because 12 cut into 3 is those 4 sections. So that ends up working out perfectly. And then I'm doing the same thing. Now, when you go and cut this way, I tend to make my notch right above the seam instead of below it, because I kind of want that bottom photo to creep up so that there's not a huge gap in between. You'll end up with a bit more of a gap on the top of the photo, but I'd rather have more of a gap on the top where I'm just going to put some cards and some embellishments up on that top row. I'd rather have a smaller empty space basically in between where the seam is, where the photo actually is. So I hope that makes sense. Hopefully seeing where I'm lining it up is helping more than my words. Sometimes it's a little hard to explain these kinds of things. But now I've got all 6 cut out, and I'm just going to slide them in. I know that they're going to fit perfectly. I don't have to do any extra trimming, and they all fit perfectly. I hope that this has been helpful for you. I know that when I've shown big photos, everyone says, show me how to do that. So here it is. You can do this with a full 12x12 photo. You could do it with a small 6x8 photo. Just make sure you're doing your best to not cut through your subject too much. And hopefully you can find some big photos and use them in your pockets. Have a wonderful day, guys. Bye.